So we have understood the concept map of this lesson. Let's discuss the exercise questions which are given on page 144 of your textbook. Please open the textbook and we'll start with the exercise questions. Question number 1 is simple. Fill in the blanks. First one, the loss of water from the plants is known as. Now when the plant loses water, it loses the water through stomata. And what is that process known as? The process is known as transpiration. So you can write down the answer. It is transpiration. Second one, nervous system is absent in dash and dash. Now plants do not have a nervous system as animals do. So the first dash will be plants. And any other small microorganism. Let's take amoeba. Amoeba also doesn't have a special nervous system. So you can write the answer. The nervous system is absent in plants and amoeba. Third one, response to the stimuli of touch is called as dash. That means which type of movement is shown by touch. Try to recollect the touch me not plant or the mimosa plant. So when I touch the mimosa plant, it folds its inside, and that type of movement is called as seismonastic. You write down the spelling. Seismonastic movement. Whereas response to stimulus of chemicals is known as chemotropism. When any movement is taking place because of the chemicals, it is called as chemotropism. So these are the two answers of the fill in the blanks. Fourth one, brain is the main dash center of the body. So brain is the main thinking center of your body. So answer is thinking. Question number 2, name the following. First one, growth of plant in response to external factors. Now we have learned it is growth dependent or growth independent. So when I want to see some movement, it happens because of the stimuli. So what stimuli outside in the environment, what type of growth of movement is seen? We call it as tropism. Tropism is the movement seen in the plants because of the external stimuli of the environment. Second one, maintenance of steady state by different systems in an organism. I have been telling you why the control and coordination is necessary. Control and coordination is necessary for maintaining a steady state by optimal functioning of all the organs. What is it called as? It is called as homeostasis. Homeostasis. This is very important. This definition or this form, this one word answer or name the following always comes. Fourth one, the small gap between the consecutive neurons. Consecutive neurons means one neuron, the next neuron, the next neuron. These are consecutive neurons, one after the another. The gap between these two is called as synapse. S-Y-N-A-P-S-E. Synapse. Next one, part of the brain that coordinates the voluntary movements. So when we were doing that, we know the voluntary movements are done by forebrain. So you can say forebrain or cerebrum. Forebrain or cerebrum. One more I can add for you. Part of the brain which actually controls the involuntary action, that is cerebellum. So cerebrum is voluntary action and cerebellum is involuntary action. This was question number 2. Let's go to question number 3. Give scientific reasons. First one, roots of plants grow away from light. Now you all know a plant has root, shoot, leaves, branches. So root goes inside the soil and shoot grows against the soil, that means towards the sunlight. Now why we have to give the reason. Roots of plants grow away from the light because the gravity is pulling the roots towards it. It shows positive geotropism. So your answer should be roots show positive geotropism, or it gets pulled towards the gravity and away from the light, and it shows negative phototropism. So root shows, you can write, roots show positive geotropism and negative phototropism. As it gets pulled towards the gravity. Second one, hormones secreted by the endocrine glands are present everywhere in the body. Now, how do these hormones reach our body? We studied that hormones are the chemicals which are released by the endocrine glands, and these endocrine glands do not have ducts. That means they are also called as ductless glands. So when they are ductless glands, these chemicals are released by the the glands, and these glands, when they release the hormone is directly released in the blood, and this blood is moving around in the whole body. So being a ductless gland, the hormone is released directly into the bloodstream, which flows into the body, and therefore it reaches directly everywhere in the body. Third one, insulin plays an important role in controlling the sugar level of blood. When we were doing the chemical part, or the chemical control and coordination part, that time I just told you that insulin is a hormone released by pancreas. So when I eat food, my sugar level increases because that food is converted into glucose. When the sugar level increases, that increase actually triggers the pancreas to release insulin, and when pancreas release insulin, insulin is released in the bloodstream and it brings the sugar level down, and therefore insulin plays a very important role in controlling the sugar level of the blood. Question 4. Answer the following questions. Explain the terms hydrotropic movement. Hydro means water, tropism means movement. So when the roots, when we grow any seed, it develops into a plant. Plant have roots. The roots go deep inside the soil. First, there are two major reasons. First, it fixes the plant. Secondly, it goes in search of the water. So when the plants have roots which goes for the water, this type of movement of roots towards the water is called as hydrotropism. Second, chemical control in animals. Now, as I said, chemicals are the hormones. Actually, hormones are the chemicals which are released by the endocrine glands. And these endocrine glands, since they directly opened in the bloodstream, the hormones reaches the target site. Now, what is target site? The site which requires the hormone to act for the healthy growth of the animal. And therefore, these chemicals are very important in controlling various types of activities in the human beings as well as in the animals. Second question, differentiate between voluntary and involuntary movements. Now, simple. Voluntary means the movements which are under our control. Involuntary means which are not in our control. Walking, jumping, talking, writing are all under my control. If I want to do that work, I will do. If I don't want to do, I will not do. That means it can be planned. So anything which can be planned and which we do on our wish, or it is under our control, that is voluntary action. Involuntary action or involuntary movements, the movements which are not under our control. Like eyelashes and eyelids are always moving, closing your eyes. Unknowingly you are closing your eyes. You don't deliberately do that, and that is involuntary movement. Your movement inside the stomach, inside the small intestine, inside the large intestine, the movement of your heart, the movement of your lungs, all are not under our control. So they are called as involuntary movements. Write a short note on reflex action. Now, reflex action is the sudden movement because of some external stimuli. Without thinking, when we do any movement, we have not planned it, and suddenly some stimuli has come in the environment. That type of movement is called as reflex action. Now, if you can give any example, if you touch a hot cup of tea, or if some light is flashed in your eyes, or suddenly someone comes from behind and scares you, all the actions which we are doing will be reflex action. So what you can write in this answer, that the sensors or the sensory organs are acting as a receptors. Those receptors take the information, send it to the sensory neuron to the spinal cord. This spinal cord takes the decision immediately, and that decision is sent through the motor neuron, and this shortcut method is forming a reflex arc, completing the reflex action. So this is how we can write this answer. Next one, coordination in plants. Now we have said it, plants are not able to move, but still they show many type of movements staying in one place. Now what type of movements they show? They show two types, the growth dependent and the growth independent. We have taken an example of mimosa plant or touch me not plant. When I touch that plant, I am giving it a touch, that is the stimuli of touch. When I touch, so what happens? The water level inside the leaves, they shift and make the plant shrink or fade away, or they just fold away, and that is the movement which is not related with growth. It is not at all related with growth. The lotus plant, it will bloom in the morning. The tuberose plant, it will bloom at night. So these movements are also dependent on whether the light is present, whether the light is not present. So these are the movements which the plants show. And growth dependent movement means, you can write the example that how during pollination and fertilization the pollen grains form a tube which enters the ovule, and there the fusion of male and female gamete takes place, and that fertilization actually is involved with the growth dependent. It is a growth dependent movement of pollen grains, pollen sacs, and the fusion with the ovule. So this is how you can complete your answers of exercise. On page 143, there is an activity which you have to understand and write down. List the endocrine glands present in human beings. The first question, this question is not covered in your textbook, so you have to write down the names of the endocrine glands. So better write down, I am writing the board. Endocrine glands present in humans. So I am writing the main endocrine glands, you can write down the names, and secondly where they are positioned in our body. So we can write down, first is pituitary gland, second is pineal gland, both are present in the brain. These are the main important endocrine glands present in humans. Third, you can write thyroid, parathyroid. These are another two names of the glands present in the human body. So thyroid gland and parathyroid gland, these are also endocrine glands. Thyroid is present in the neck region, parathyroid on the sides of thyroid, parathyroid glands are just present on the sides, either side of the thyroid gland. Then write down the pancreas, fifth one. It's present in the abdomen, just below the stomach and above the small intestine. It is present in the abdomen. Then adrenal glands, adrenal gland is present above the kidney. Then thymus gland. A thymus gland is present near the heart. Eighth one, ovary, that is present in the females, which are producing the eggs, and that is also called as the gland which is giving out the progesterone hormone. And ninth is testis. It present in the male. So these are the main endocrine glands which are present in the human body, and their location is also written. So you can write down this answer. So we have gone through the exercise questions, but exercise questions are not enough. We'll go through some extra questions also, which might help you in studying this chapter more easily. Now I have made some charts, some tabular form, which will help you in learning these things, because this is a biology part where you have to learn some technical or biological words. The first question which I will be asking you to write down is, write the functions of plant hormones. Or the question can come, what are the various plant hormones and what are their functions? So this is the answer, the functions of plant hormones. There are 4 main plant hormones which we have to learn in this chapter. First is auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins and abscisic acid. So you have to learn these 4 names. Now once you learn the name, you should know what are the functions. Basically all functions are for growth only. But what type of growth? Auxins is promoting general growth of the stem. Gibberellins or gibberellins is promoting the growth of stem towards the upper side. That means the stem is increasing in height, increasing in lateral growth. Cytokinins, it produces cell division. The cell division is important for growth. Unless the cell divide, it will not become 2, 2 will not become 4. So cytokinins are responsible for cell division. And abscisic acid, this is the hormone which is not related to growth. Actually it inhibits growth, it stops growth. So in between you will see the leaves are suddenly wilting or drying off. That is because abscisic acid is there present in the plant, which is a plant hormone. So this is one type of question which you can learn in tabular form and you can easily learn the words. Another question which is asked very commonly is, what are tropic movements, or what is tropism, and what type of tropism will you see in plants? So first question, what is tropic movement? The tropic movement is the movement due to some stimuli in the environment. So if the environment is light or water or gravity or anything else which can actually make their growth, that is the movement. So it is called as tropism or tropic movement. There are mainly 4 types of tropism in plants. Phototropism. Photo means light. That means the movement of the plant towards the sunlight is called as phototropism. Second is gravitropism. Another word for gravitropism is geotropism. Gravity pulls down the roots, and that type of movement shown by the roots due to gravity is called as gravitropism. Third, hydrotropism. The word hydro means water. So the movement of the roots in search of water, when they go after water, that means they want to absorb water, that movement is called as hydrotropism. Last is chemotropism. Some chemicals are released, because of that the movement is shown, as in the case of the pollen sacs, which is forming a pollen tube towards the ovule. There are some chemicals is released, and that type of movement is known as chemotropism. So in short, you can learn this, and these are all growth dependent movements, not independent but growth dependent movements. This is some type of extra questions which you can write and very easy to learn if you write in this way. Other some questions are, define transpiration. Now what is transpiration? The loss of water from the plant body through stomata is called transpiration. Now what is the use of transpiration, or how are they related with the ascent of sap. Now what is ascent of sap? Ascent means climbing up. So when the sap or the liquid present in the intercellular space, that sap is moving due to the high concentration or the low concentration, that is called as ascent of sap. So how they are related? The transpiration removes the extra water from the plant. When it is removing the extra water from the plant, it produces a suction pull. When it produces a suction pull, the sap or the intercellular space which have the liquid, it starts going towards that side where the suction has developed, and this is how it is interrelated. Next, which is the important question of this lesson, is what is homeostasis and how is homeostasis achieved in plants and animals. Now first we will talk about animals. Homeostasis is a steady state which is required by the body for optimal functioning of its organs. Without control and without coordination, homeostasis cannot be achieved. Now homeostasis to achieve have two types of stimuli, whether it is from the external stimuli, that is in the surroundings, or the internal stimuli, that means the temperature, the water concentration, the enzyme, the hormones. Because of that, the homeostasis is achieved. So the homeostasis is the nothing but the steady state acquired by an animal. Next question, how does a tendril support the plant? Now the tendril are the very thin stem, green stem like structures which when they get support, they twine around it. They start growing around it. So that tendril is actually giving the support to the plant to climb up. The tendril which is taking the support of any bar or the piece of wood, what will happen? It will twine around it. It will send the hormones or the part of the chemical which is released towards the other side of the plant to make it grow further. And this is how the plant starts climbing up with the help of tendril. Next question which we can take is, explain the terms hydrotropic movement and chemical control. Now this we have referred in the exercise question of your book. Again to revise, is hydrotropic movement. As I said here, hydrotropism is due to the movement of the plant due to the water, and that hydro means water. So movement of the plant towards the water is called as hydrotropic movement. And chemical control is the release of hormones by the endocrine glands in the bloodstream of any animal or human beings for the proper growth of the human beings. Next question, what are the three parts of human nervous system? What are their main functions? This question came for 3 marks in 2012 October exam. Or another type, same thing is done in another type of question. Write the names and functions of 3 parts of human nervous system which is divided. Now as I said in the starting of the lesson, there are 3 parts of human nervous system. First is CNS, that is central nervous system. Second is peripheral nervous system, that is PNS. And third is autonomous nervous system, that is the nervous system in which is actually regulating the involuntary actions. Central nervous system comprises of brain and the spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system comprises of network of all the nerves throughout the body which is connected with the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Next question, what are the 2 types of nerves and what are their functions? The 2 types of nerves which we know is afferent nerve and efferent nerve. Afferent nerve means taking the nerve or taking the information from the receptors, that is the sense organs, to the brain. That the nerves which are taking the information from your sense organs to the brain is called as afferent nerve. And efferent nerve, the brain is sending the message which is carried by the efferent nerve to the different parts of the body. These are the 2 types of nerves. Then next related question, how many types of neurons do you know? First, what are neurons? The neurons actually are the nerve cells which comprises of which when collected together in a bundle they form a nerve fiber. These neurons are continuously in line with each other, and they are responsible for transmitting of chemicals in the form of electrical impulses throughout the body. And this is how we get the sensation, and this is how we get the message from the brain through the neurons. What is the structure of neuron? Now remember, we have made a diagram. The neuron had lot of branches at the top. Those branches are called as dendrites. In between there is a nucleus. Refer to your diagram. If you are referring to a diagram, you will understand better. In between there is a nucleus. Nucleus is surrounded by the cytoplasm, and the whole thing together is called as cell body or cyton. Then there is a tail-like structure, and that tail-like structure is called as axon. And axon ends in the nerve endings. So this is the structure of neuron. How many types of neurons do you know? Now we have studied about 3 types of neurons. First is sensory neurons, second is motor neurons, third is association neurons. Now what is sensory neuron? Sensory neurons are the neurons which are carrying the message or the information from the sense organs to the brain, and from the brain to the different parts. The neurons which are carrying this message are called as motor neurons. Motor neurons are always connected with some muscle, because the muscle is making the movement. Then what is association neuron? Association neuron helps the sensory neuron as well as the motor neuron, or they connects these 2 types of neurons. This question, types of neurons and their function, it came for 2 marks in March 2014 exam. Then there are small questions which you have to answer, 1-line answers. What are ventricles of brain? Now if you remember, in the last chapter we studied ventricles are present in heart also. Now ventricles of brain it is not the heart. So don't get confused. Ventricles of heart are different, ventricles of brain are different. So what are ventricles of brain? The brain, our muscle brain, is having some cavities, small holes or some spaces. Those cavities present in the brain are called as ventricles. What are the functions of CSF? Now first you have to remember what is CSF. CSF is cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid means cerebral means related to brain, spino means related to spine, and fluid means the liquid which is moving. Now as I said, the brain has small holes or cavities. They are known as ventricles. In the spinal cord also there are some small holes or cavities. Those are known as central canal. And these 2, and the cranium, this skull, and the brain has some gap, and that gap is filled with the spongy substance which is known as meninges. So meninges, the ventricles and the central canal, they are covered with a liquid which is known as cerebrospinal fluid. What does it do? It actually protects you from sudden shock. In case of accidents or in case you fall down, the shock should not go and damage your brain. So cerebral spinal fluid is also acting as actually it is trying to stop that shock to come to the brain. The next question. Give any one difference between the cerebrum and the cerebellum. Now first remember, cerebrum is the part of forebrain, the brain in front, and cerebellum is the part which is at the hindbrain. How to remember? Both the spellings are almost same. The cerebrum is a small word, cerebellum is a long word. The smaller word cerebrum is present in the front. This is how you can remember. Cerebrum function is for maintaining the voluntary action, and cerebellum is involved for maintaining the involuntary action which are not under our control. Which involuntary activities are controlled by medulla oblongata? Medulla oblongata is present in the midbrain, and the involuntary actions like sneezing. When I sneeze, suddenly I sneeze. So that sneezing is controlled by medulla oblongata. Another, the blood flow in my body. The blood is flowing. I cannot stop that blood flow. And that blood flow is also managed by midbrain, that is medulla oblongata. And the breathing. When I am breathing, I cannot stop for a long period. I can stop for a few seconds. But this breathing, blood flow, sneezing, all these are the examples of the part of the brain which is responsible for maintaining its coordination, that is medulla oblongata. Next important question is, what is reflex arc? Now, how is reflex arc formed? Now, it is a part of reflex action. As I said earlier, reflex action is a sudden movement because of some stimuli from the environment. Suddenly it is appearing, like someone is scaring you out of the blue, or when you are crossing the road, suddenly one vehicle is coming and you tend to turn back. Then many times if you don't know whether the object is hot or cold, you touch and immediately remove. These are all the examples of reflex action. But I asked you, what is reflex arc? Now, when sudden action is taking place in the environment, our body has to respond also very fast. So to respond very fast, the sensory neurons has to take the message to the brain, and it takes time. So what it does, the sensory neurons take the message to the spinal cord, and spinal cord take the decision that do this work. And this is how the shortcut method is developed, and this is called as reflex arc. The reflex arc are actually controlled by spinal cord. Give scientific reason. First one, the stem bends in the direction of light. Now you have to give a scientific reason for that. Now, as we said, phototropism. The tropism, or the movement of the plant towards the sunlight, is called as phototropism. So the stem part of the plant it shows the phototropism. As soon as the light is there, it starts moving towards the light, and because some chemicals are released and the growth movement is due to the light there, and this is why the plants bend in the direction of light. Now, which type of hormone is released? It releases auxins. That's why I have written here, auxins are the hormone which is released when the sunlight is there, and this auxin makes the plant grow towards the light. That means we can say it shows positive phototropic movement. When I say positive, that means it is due to the photolight or the light of the sun. If I say negative phototropism, that means I am talking about root. The next question, give reason. Give reason why cytokinins are found in large amount in fruits and seeds. Now, cytokinins are responsible for cell division. So when cell divides, they are generally found in the fruits and the seeds because they have to grow in size. The cell division takes place because cytokinins hormones are released. So they have a rapid growth. Fruits and seeds have very rapid growth because of the rapid cell division, and that cell division is due to cytokinins. Next, give reason. Food tastes odd when we have a cold. Now, when we have cold and cough, our sense organs like nose, it gets inflamed. Inflamed means susta, and though the sensory organs are not working as much it should be. So what happens when we don't even smell properly? When we don't smell properly, our taste buds also don't work properly. And this is the reason during the cold or the cold and cough, the nasal organs, the organs which are involved in smelling, they get inflamed or infection is there. And for temporary, their smelling power is smothered. Smothered means reduced. Next, give reason. Consuming iodized salt in everyday diet is essential. Now, what is iodized salt? The salt containing a mineral iodine. Now, this iodine is responsible for thyroid gland. Now, as I said, thyroid gland is present in the neck. Now, in the neck region, thyroid gland is present, which is responsible for your overall growth. Now, Thyroid gland will produce thyroxine. This is the name of the hormone which is produced. This thyroxine will be produced only when it has proper content of iodine. Iodine is a mineral, and this iodine is, if it is less, you have a problem of thyroid gland. Many times thyroid gland problems means thyroxine is not released properly. When it is not released properly, your growth is not proper. So what has happened, in what we need iodine in very small amount, so it is added in the salt, so that when we make any dish or when we make any food item, we add salt to it. In that, little amount of iodine also goes, so automatically you are taking the iodine. So your answer is iodine is responsible for proper functioning of thyroid gland, which is responsible for your growth. And thyroid gland, if it is working properly, it will produce proper amount of thyroxine, and that thyroxine is maintaining your growth. Now some terms you have to explain. That means the definitions, like homeostasis definition, endocrine glands definition, tropism. I have told you what is tropism, then what is afferent nerve, what is efferent nerve, what are sense organs, which type of neurons are taking the what are known as sensory neurons, what are known as motor neurons. These are the terms which can come in the form of fill in the blank, which can come in the form of definitions, which can come in the form of one word answer. So you have to remember what are they. Name two plants in which tendrils are present. Now we are talking about tendrils. So you have to give two examples, any two examples where tendrils are present. So in your book, the same example you can learn, grapevine and pea plant. The grapevine has a tendril which takes the support and climbs. Pea plant also have a tendril which takes the support and climb. So these are the two examples which you can write. Which plant hormone is responsible for wilting of leaves? Now I have written some hormones. All three, first three are responsible for growth, but the last one is not responsible for growth, it is inhibiting the growth. So the answer should be abscisic acid is actually not promoting the growth, but it is inhibiting the growth by wilting of leaves. Which type of animals do not have nervous system? So in your book, when we were studying, some unicellular organisms like amoeba do not have a nervous system. So your answer should be amoeba. What kind of nervous system is present in hydra? Now hydra, it is a very primitive type of nervous system. Primitive means not developed. So you can write, in hydra a primitive type of nervous system is present, which is actually forming only a network of nerves. There is no proper nervous system. What is the function of hormones in arthropoda? Now arthropoda are the class of animals which can change color. Now this change of color is brought about by hormones, and these hormones also regulate their development. So this your answer is function of hormones in arthropoda is to change the color and for its development. Why is thyroid secretion important in frogs? Now frog, it is laying the eggs in the water, the eggs are hatched and the frog is made. Whole process is known as metamorphosis, and this metamorphosis, that means from the egg to the adult frog, it requires a hormone which is known as thyroxine. So your answer should be thyroxine is very important for the metamorphosis of frog. What is Venus flytrap? Now this is the name of a plant which is an insectivorous plant. It smells very nice, and that is why insects are attracted towards it. Its color is very bright, so insects are attracted towards it. And when it comes, the touch, when it touches, that means seismograph is there, and when it touches, seismonatic movement is shown by the plant. It opens up, traps the insect and takes the nutrients from the insect. What is the function of dendrites? Now dendrites are present at the top end, or the, you can say, the branched part of the nerve or the neuron is dendrites. What is its function? Its function is to collect the information from the stimuli of the environment, and this is also called as receptors. What is the function of cerebrospinal fluid? One line answer. Cerebrospinal fluid, it gives protection to central nervous system. It also protects it from shocks. Next question, what is the average weight of human brain? Generally, human brain is of 1300 to 1400 grams, or I can say 1 kg 300 grams to 1 kg 400 grams. This is the average weight of the human brain. The question, next question, how much blood flows through the brain per minute? So around 750 ml, 2000 ml flows, that means the blood flows through the brain. It depends on the age, so around 750 to 1000, this is the range. What is short-term memory? Short-term memory is actually the memory which lasts for a very short time, maybe around 35 to 40 seconds. An example is, if I give a big phone number to you and you may not remember it immediately. So that is short-term memory. Which part of the brain helps in riding a bicycle? Now bicycle needs balancing, and balancing is done by the hindbrain. That means cerebellum is the part of the hindbrain which is responsible for balancing while the cycling is done. Which part of the brain controls the involuntary action? This question came in 2012 October. The midbrain and the hindbrain are responsible for involuntary actions. How much time is required for the brain to stay alive without oxygen? This is a tricky question. Without oxygen, if oxygen doesn't reach here, the brain, how long it can live? It can live for about 4 to 8 minutes. That's all. If it doesn't get oxygen, it may not live more than that. The next type of some extra questions for 1 mark is find the odd one out. Now I'll be giving you verbally 4 words. You have to identify which is the odd one out and why. First 4 words: glucose, amino acids, fatty acids and enzyme. Now glucose, amino acid, fatty acids are all related to digestive system, and enzymes actually are the different type of food components. It is not related to these are the food components, amino acids, glucose, which are coming from the food, and enzymes are not coming from the food. So enzyme is the odd man out. Second 4 words: auxins, gibberellins, insulin and abscisic acid. Now out of here 3 are plant hormones and the 4th one is not a plant hormone. It is found in human beings. So auxins are plant hormone, gibberellins are plant hormone, abscisic acid is plant hormone, but insulin is found in pancreas part, found in the abdomen area in the humans, and pancreas is responsible for maintaining the sugar level. Third one, cyton, neuroglia, dendrites and axon. Now these are some 3 are the parts of neuron. What are the parts of neuron? Cyton is a part of neuron, dendrites is a part of neuron, axon is a part of neuron. Then what is neuroglia? Neuroglia is a type of neuron which is helping in the nerve cell. 4th one, heart, hand, stomach, lungs. Now heart, hand, stomach, lungs. Obviously here the hand, because the other 3 are internal organs and hand is the external organ, and all others are involved with involuntary actions and hand is voluntary action. Next one, ventricle, meninges, CSF and memory. Now all others are parts of brain. That means inside the brain these are the parts. That means meninges is the cushioning between the skull and the brain. Then the ventricle are the cavities present in the brain, and CSF is a cerebrospinal fluid in the brain. But memory is not a part of brain. Memory is something which the brain does or it collects. 6th one, beating of heart, breathing, of air, giving a speech and digesting the food. Now beating of heart, breathing of air, digesting food is not under our control. That means these are all involuntary actions. And giving a speech, I want to give a speech, I am giving. I don't want to give, I will not give. So that is a voluntary action. Next one, blood flow, breathing, sneezing and equilibrium of body. Now blood flow, breathing and sneezing are not under my control, so we cannot control it, but others are equilibrium of a body, that is controlled by your balancing part, that is the cerebellum, and others are functions of medulla oblongata, that is the midbrain. How to remember medulla oblongata? M medulla, M midbrain. So remember, medulla oblongata is a part of midbrain and cerebellum is a part of hindbrain. Next one, blood vessels, dendrites, cyton, axon. Now this odd one out came in 2012 March exam. So blood vessels, dendrites, cyton, axon. The other three, cyton, axon, dendrites, are the part of structure of nerve cell. But the blood vessels are the conducting vessels in our body. So these are some of the odd man out which you can note down. Now last part, which for the objective type of question, I will be giving you some action. You have to tell that which centers are involved in it, or which center of the brain is involved in it. Riding a bicycle. Now this is action where balancing is required, and balancing is done by cerebellum part of the hindbrain. Sneezing and breathing. I am sneezing, I am breathing, blood is flowing. These are the examples. Which part of the brain is doing that? The medulla oblongata part of the brain is doing these actions. Vision and hearing ability. Now which part is doing that? This is the cerebrum, that is the forebrain is involved. Here the association centers are involved in it. Now what are association centers? The centers which are taking the information from various sensory organs, and then here the interpretation is done. And so we can say the cerebrum association centers are responsible for vision, hearing area. Now where are dendrites present? This type of question can come in the match the column, fill in the blank, 1 mark answer. The dendrites are the branch part which are present in the neuron structure. So these were some of the extra questions which will help you in learning this lesson better, and please go through the lesson page by page, because many types of questions are coming from the book itself. So there are many type of one word answers, long answers, short answers which you have to learn. Some of the answers which you can make in the tabular form, you'll write in that way and then learn. This we have come to the end of this lesson, the lesson Regulators of Life, lesson number 11.